What's going on, everybody? You're gonna notice that this truck looks nothing like it did last time. That's because there's about 3 or 4 weeks worth of work in this video, and it is getting very close to being finished. Not that I wanna give it that name because nothing's ever finished around here, but it does run at the end of this episode, so stick around and check it out. Finally, this is about the last piece to the puzzle in the back half. The sway bar bolted in. I gotta run a couple more tubes to support it, but that's the last big part for this back half. It's not an exact science where all this stuff has to go, but it all has to play nice together. Not gonna lie, I thought it was only gonna take like 5 cans of paint, not 13 or whatever that is. I hate painting, but this will work for now. It's kind of a temporary paint job. That way everything looks the same color, and then at some point when the build's done, I'm sure I'll have it professionally painted. This back half is ready to start bolting parts back on. One little trick I wanted to show you guys that I really wanted was these little zip strip mounts here. Every foot or so I got one, all the way up to the engine. It doesn't matter too much on the tube here because you can wrap a zip strip around the tube obviously, but on the frame there's nothing to tie to. So every foot I'm gonna have a nice secure spot to zip tie to. Keep the fuel lines and wiring up out of the way. Let's go over the fuel system real quick. This is the fuel cell, 70 gallons. A lot of people say 50 is not enough. Some people even run like 20-gallon cells, and not gonna work for 3 miles per gallon. So this should last a while. Here's our fuel pumps. These are aeromotive Stealth 340 pumps. And I got 2 of them for redundancy and because in the future this thing's gonna get turboed. So we're gonna need a ton of fuel, and it's just easier to do it all right now. Here's the completed fuel system. 2 aeromotive 340 fuel pumps plumbed together to -8. And this is what it's gonna look like in the truck when I have to shorten that. The fuel pumps stuffed down in here and put all the foam back. So they're sitting right on the bottom with foam all the way around them and on top of them, so they can't jiggle at all. I'm really liking that. Poked a hole in the bulkhead here to run the 10 gauge fuel wires through. So I just got the fuel system plumbed in and mounted the pressure regulator right here. Had to add a little bracket, but that's looking really good. So these aeromotive 340 pumps seem like they're gonna work really good. They're not super loud, but you can tell that they're on. You can tell both are working, and they sound cool. They sound like a little jet engine in there. So I'm gonna get this thing wired up on a 30 amp relay and then get the tranny lines knocked out. Here's the hoses for the transmission cooler. I'm pressure checking every single hose before it goes on the truck to like 130 PSI. That way I know they're not gonna fail when they're on. So I got about 130 pounds in this hose, and I usually just take a spray bottle and go around it, make sure there's no leaks, no air coming out, and then you just take the pressure off. You know you got a good hose. This unique little feature I built in here, the transmission cooler swings out of the way with no tools required to get into the battery area. I'll have a little bit of storage in between them, and get your 2 batteries, some relays and stuff in there. Not sure yet. That way I can run them right to the battery, and all I have to do is run my relay single wire forward from the cab, and that way I'm only using about 3 feet of wire, main power wire, and I can run only a 10 gauge wire for that 30 amps then, that both of those draw 30 amps each, versus having to run a big fat wire all the way from the front. So that's nice, save some weight, not that I'm too concerned about it because this thing is a tank. Just welded up another little tab like I did on the inside for mounting some relays, and you can even ground them right to this. So you can mount the relay right there. You got spots for 4 back here, and then down there right on the edge I drilled some holes so you can put a ground loop in there, and that'll run our fuel pumps and fans. Had to whip up a little oil cooler block off plate for the motor. Pretty simple, crude little design here, but that'll go on the motor down here because I'm not going to be running an oil cooler for now, right there above the filter. And I'll probably order a billet one just so that it's like nice and reliable, but this will work for now to get her started and running. Only thing left to do now is run 4 more wires from the Terminator and find a home for them, and then that should turn on, which will allow that to turn that on, in theory. I just finished up the setup wizard on the Terminator. Super easy. You just go through and just select like what motor you have, what tranny, all that sort of stuff, what injectors you have, and I believe it's ready to go now. So this is going to be the first startup ever on this motor, and I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm going to have my hand on the kill switch just in case things get hairy, but let's see what happens. Hear the fuel pumps working. Something happened. Okay. Might have a problem, but it did start. Sounds pretty nasty. I'm gonna look into that a little bit and see what the problem was. I'm hoping this is the culprit. Well, let's try this again. Fuel pumps. What the heck? Same problem. Okay, well, I believe now that maybe my cat cable right there in the middle could have possibly maybe somewhat been loose. Might try a firmware update, and then from there I'll have to send it in probably. I am updating the firmware, I believe, and I don't know what it's doing. That's not good. So now the trick is to take the SD card out, put it on your laptop, and try to do it manually. Okay, so after a lot of messing around, I switched power wires over to just a temporary jumper to the battery, basically. And then I tried redoing all the files again. And now it finally accepted a updated file. So I don't know what's gonna happen. Dang, that's gonna do it for this week. I'm super stoked to hear that motor run, and now I know the computer system's all working good. That was a big relief. For a couple hours there, I was thinking I was gonna have to send that back to Holley and have them figure it out. But like I said, these ECUs and anything aftermarket, they're sensitive to voltage and getting them grounded good. But anyway, next week's gonna be a big one. I'm gonna put the Holley Pro Dash in. Decided to get this instead of the tablet. Was pretty hard to bite the bullet on this expensive little thing, but it's gonna look super clean in there. And I wanna rip this thing next week, so the bare bones things that have to be done for that to happen: put the axles in, air up the shocks, set ride height. That's a day of work, not even. Tidy up a couple wiring jobbers in the cab here, and we'll be ripping, so we'll see you there.